Hey guys, I have no idea what happened. I was talking, and it froze. And I'm like, okay. And I went on to my main laptop and then it said transmission stuck. So I'm just going to do the second part of the video. Thank you guys if you're still here. Probably that was a little intermission to get a break. So again, this is Has to Split Economics. Also, I'm going to be talking about Laws of Enchantress. That is my other YouTube channel. If you haven't been there yet, please like and subscribe. It is the Laws of the Enchantress. I also have a Facebook page for the Laws of Enchantress. So it's not hard to find that Facebook page. I don't think anyone else is called the Laws of Enchantress. So again, I was talking about solutions for black women. If you listen to my last talk, it was talking a lot about the challenges and the status of black women in the United States. And as you guys know, I'm very solution-based. I'm not one of these YouTubers to get you mad, amped, and leave you angry, and your head's fuming and fire's coming out your ears. I truly believe in solutions. We sent a man to the moon, if we did really, but supposedly we did. And if we can do that feat, it shouldn't be that hard to get black women happy and married. So I want to talk about traditional marriage. This is something that black women aren't aware of. And so even if you get married as a black woman, it's going to be much more difficult if you don't do a traditional marriage. As you can see, the divorce rate is very high. And even in other demographics that are not minority, the marriage rate is declining. And it's because a lot of women, especially women, feel like they're doing a double role. Working full-time, having a career, having your social life, being a wife and mother, and then coming home and still having to be a domestic goddess, that's why I call it, is a job. If you look up online, try to hire a housekeeper, try to hire a nanny, try to hire a babysitter. All these things are very expensive. So what I do is I try to tell black women, especially black women, that traditionalism matters. And even more so because when black women do get married and they do things non-traditional, our divorce rate is about 3 times higher than any other demographic in the United States. And you can look that up. So it doesn't make sense for me to talk about marriage and not change the status quo. It doesn't make sense for me to talk about marriage and not delve into why isn't it successful for black women. Because I'm going to be honest with you. If I was a black woman, I'm divorced, and I heard someone like me talking, I'd be like, why would I get married again? It was a disaster. Well, it's a disaster because traditional marriages are not the norm. And usually rich people that have really higher end hypergamy, they benefit from a traditional marriage where the woman can focus on running the home and being the domestic goddess, and the guy can be what I consider the outside work. I don't like to say stay at home because you're taking care of kids, you're taking to the library. I was brought up primarily in my youth with a stay-at-home mom, and we didn't stay at home. We're constantly at the museum, libraries, botanic garden, the beaches, the zoo, parent-teachers conference. You name it, you say it, my mom was there. And she was very active in social activities, and it really helped us to be advanced in going to school and being much more socially adjusted and mastering communication skills and speech skills like I have now. So that was one of the benefits of having a stay-at-home mom who really didn't stay home, but she actually managed the household. I like to call them management household executives. For anybody that thinks that's not a real job, I want to challenge you. If you're watching this video, and whether you're a black man or black woman, just try to see how much it would cost to hire a live-in nanny and a live-in chef and a live-in butler or maid. See how much it would cost to have a chauffeur drive around your kids 5 days a week. See how much it would cost to have a tutor in case you sit down with your kids and check their homework. See how much it would cost to have a personal assistant to go and do errands for you. So it's a lot. It's not just you staying at home eating bonbons. It's truly you being an active social part. Then don't forget, you got to be a psychologist. You got to make sure your child is emotionally adjusted. You got to make sure you're forming a bond so your child can talk to you. And on top of that, you got to take care of yourself as a woman. Your appeal matters. So that's a big investment that you can't do if you're just worried about working 40, 50 hours a week, cooking, cleaning. Something lags and falls behind. So I want to talk about the traditional marriage, before I go off this YouTube and it gets disconnected again. So why should we support traditional marriage? This is from www.discussionmarriage.org, and it says, number one, there's 2 versions of marriage, where you have the modern one where it's basically telling the woman that she has to work outside the house, and it's presumed that the household work is going to be done equally, which is never the case, because a lot of the stuff that are done are kind of seen as traditional feminine roles. And if the guy is forced into those roles, it doesn't just it's just a slant. We're not there yet. So what you want to do is redefining marriage. Okay, the problem right now is that we have an abundance of declining marriage, and nobody's looking to see why this is happening. Everybody just keeps shitting on marriage altogether. But you can see, I mean, when you look at a snapshot, you can see that there's a problem. there's a problem because women are overworked, especially African American women, who tend to have more physical jobs and work longer hours. But it says here that African American women in most partnerships, whether it's living together or marriage, are still expected to come home and be a domestic goddess. Means that if you're working 40 hours, you're still expected to come home to cook, clean, wash, laundry, do grocery shopping, take the kids to the doctor, take the kids to the baseball practice. You're still the predominant household goddess, and it's very consuming. Then you might be extra tired, and that might go into your social activities with your husband. You might be too tired to go to the movies. You might not have enough money to go out to dinner. It's just a lot, because this is something new. What you got to understand is the way we're doing marriage now is new. This has not been around for a long time. And because of all the challenges we have with the traditional marriage, instead of looking to see what worked and what didn't work, we threw out the baby with the bathwater. And we're starting from scratch, and it's been complete chaos. And the women that are suffering the most from this complete chaos have been African American women, who are working longer hours, making less money, who are not 80% of the household. They're by themselves. They're not getting married. They're not getting wills. They're not getting money passed down. So it's just not working out. So when I talk about marriage, I talk about traditional marriage, because that showed the most effective part in African American history. Traditional marriages actually produced leaders and organizers and some of the most successful people in American history. So what you have to do is actually look to see why traditional marriage is doing so well. It's because gender roles work, meaning that if I'm a woman, I know my role. And if you're a guy, you know your role, and you both work together. The problem that happened before is that women felt they weren't being respected for their roles and contributions, which is a great argument. But because you're not being respected doesn't mean you should stop doing your contribution, because your contribution was very paramount to the family structure, especially in black families. So that's why you're seeing an abundance of, you know, marriages even outside of the minority community that do get married. They're slowing down. So it's bad. And then you have a lot of extreme feminist liberals who are very aggressive against the idea of traditionalism. They're very aggressive of someone taking on feminine roles. They're super aggressive. They think it's repressive to be feminine. They think it's repressive to be in the household. You know, if you're hanging around a bunch of women and they're all accomplished, and if you got your master's and you say, hey, I'm a feminine, I stay home, I'm a domestic goddess, but I want to get rid of that phrase, stay home. Try to say you do home management or you do domestic work. Try to put work management, because you're not just staying home. If you've ever been a stay-at-home wife, you're out there shopping, you're out there cooking, you're out there cleaning, you're with the kids here, you're with the kids here, you're going to school, you're going to after-school party, you're going to soccer games, you're going to baseball, you're going to museums. You're not just sitting in the four corners of your wall. You're taking your kids to the doctors. You're doing everything. So I think there's a big misunderstanding from those who choose not to do this lifestyle, even from other females who look down on it. Because I've seen women look down on other women who choose to be a domestic goddess as if they do nothing all day. Like I said, try to hire a hostess, try to hire a caterer, try to hire a nanny, try to hire a housekeeper, try to hire a butler, and see how much your bill comes up to a month and a year. And then you'll see the true worth of a woman. And not to mention a psychologist or a therapist listening to the problems of your kids and your wives, or even your family and friends. So it's a very raw deal black women have gotten, especially that we're working a lot of these minimal jobs, and we're not working salary jobs. We're not getting these big vacation breaks to take a break, and we're not getting this high pay so we can do effective self-care. So structuring the traditional family is going to be better for black women. The biggest question I get is, Connie, but you know, there's a lot of guys who can't afford. And I say, well, listen to me, sisters. I just read a report that said 80% of black women are the sole heads of their household. So if you have a support from a man and two of y'all can't make it work, you got to find a better man. Because black women are doing it every single day. As I'm talking to you and you're watching this video, there are black women who are out there being the sole breadwinner. They're out there doing it by themselves. So if you get into a partnership with a man, regardless of where he's from, and you can't make it work, you can't find the balance, I don't think that's the right guy for you. I think it's crazy that we become sensitive to a two-family income all of a sudden when it's two people, but when it's a black woman by herself, she's not expected to have any type of cushion. She's just doing it by herself. So I don't understand why the expectation drops when a man comes into the picture and he has a partner to be helping him. So it's very strange to me that black women are like terrified of even thinking for a second about having their man support financially, but they're not terrified for a second of doing it completely by themselves. It's something that's been very weird to me. I don't understand why that happened. So I'm going to put some links in the description box about traditional marriage. This is not a long video. I just want to get you guys thinking about traditional marriage. I do encourage you to do your own research and check your sources, check your citations. I don't want anyone to ever just listen to me, but just think about it, what I'm saying, and think about the history of it behind. So definitely leave your comments in the comment box and let me know what you think about traditional marriage for black women. I think that it's overdue. I think that, you know, anyone who's concerned about being a predominant, you know, financial and saying it's poverty, it's not, because a black woman can give you a lot of attributes by being home and taking care of the kids and not going to the daycare, not going to the nannies, you know, working from her house. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can do in a traditional household with modifications to the classic genre, but not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye-bye.